Hi, Chris. It's Mom. Look, honey, I've got a lot of work to do, so I won't be home until late again. Just do the usual, you know, fix yourself a little something, anything you want. Oh, and I left some money for you on the counter. Use it for whatever you like. Now, Dad won't be home until Tuesday. He says hi. Oh, and somebody told me you quit soccer. Is anything wrong? Well, just leave me a note. Love you. Bye.
ABC Video is proud to present, for the first time on home video, an unprecedented video series that takes you to the far corners of the globe. Exploring the unknown through cutting-edge technology and filmmaking. ABC World of Discovery. Executive produced by Dennis Kane, for 17 years head of the National Geographic Television Division and pioneer of the acclaimed National Geographic Explorer series. World of Discovery features astonishing photography from award-winning filmmakers, designed to bring big screen excitement to home video in heart-stopping detail. Never before has a documentary series captured the untamed world with such awesome action, arresting detail, and sheer visual beauty. Best of all, these amazing and magnificent video adventures are affordably priced at $19.98 each. This quality ongoing series is awaiting your discovery.
The wolf, shrouded in legend. Far from the monster of our childhood fairy tales, the wolf is a creature more complex than many humans realize. Sometimes described in words we use for ourselves. Wolves are intimate, affectionate, even joyful. Join us now as we enter the world of the wolf and rediscover a legend. In Native American legend, the children of the earth were the animals, and the child known as Big Mouth howled in the forest and sent spirit messages to a world beyond. Today we understand the science of wolves, but to many their soul has been lost. A once cunning hunter has become prey to humans. A magnificent and revered creature is now for many considered as vermin. And what was once a voice to the spirit world now seems a mournful farewell to the land from which wolves have been cast. Wolves live in our imaginations as shadows of evil, obscured by fallacy and fiction. Will they forever remain in our subconscious? Or someday emerge into the light of our understanding? In the remote backcountry of Idaho's Sawtooth Mountains, an extraordinary project is about to begin. A wolf is being transported by air to lands where its ancestors once roamed free.
Yeah, I read you, Mike.
Yeah, we're about 5 minutes away.
The 3-year-old male has been anesthetized for the trip. He is to be part of a study on the social nature of wolves, an effort to understand the behavior of this endangered species. A female has already made her home on 20 acres of enclosed land leased to the project by the U.S. Forest Service. A team of naturalists and filmmakers hope to establish over the next 3 years a captive pack in an environment unparalleled anywhere in the world.
Okay, Earl, you want to get that gate? Yeah. Watch your step there.
Wolves are almost impossible to observe in the wild, and a chance to study them close up could unlock clues to their complex social language.
Okay, that's good.
Wolf biologist Mike Jimenez is the group's scientific advisor and will examine each study wolf.
It'd be good to run it in the lab for distemper parvovirus.
Filmmaker Jim Dutcher has organized the project and hopes to document on film the behavior that they observe.
Okay, we'll see what we got here.
Once the data is collected, Dutcher and researcher Karen McCall will leave the wolves largely undisturbed in the huge enclosure.
Okay. Doing fine. Yep.
The female, named Makui, cautiously approaches Akai, her new mate. It is hoped that these two adults will become the alpha pair, the leaders of their own pack. Within the tent that he and Karen will call home for the coming months and years, Dutcher is raising a litter of 3-week-old gray wolf pups.
Time for lunch. Who's first? Everybody's first? Yeah, you're first. Hold on now.
Like the surrogate parents they will join, these pups were bred in captivity.
4.25 pounds.
Most wolves fear humans, and without this early bonding, the pups would remain shy and elusive. The young wolves must be nursed around the clock. Unless both human and wolf create close ties at this early stage, Dutcher would not be able to observe the intimate behavior of their adult lives. By 5 weeks of age, the pups are allowed to roam through a separate enclosure. Ranging from black to gray, wild wolf pups average 5 to a litter and are born deep within an underground den. As they gain physical agility and strength, they also develop social skills and emotional bonds. Communication and allegiance to one another will ensure their survival. Pups gain about 3 pounds a week for the first 14 weeks, though in the wild, 60% are lost to disease and starvation.
29 pounds.
The adult male Akai makes his presence known. It has taken 4 months to completely socialize the growing pups, and now it is time to place them with the adults.
Just put her down.
I'm gonna put him over here.
At first, Akai seems agitated.
The adults are sniffing the fence already.
And though Dutcher is concerned for the pup's safety, an enthusiastic greeting seems to ease all fears. They will leave their foster parents and venture into a new world with a new family, their pack. And though Akai seems at ease with the new pack members, Makui, the female, turns and bolts for the far end of the enclosure. As alpha male, Akai tours the pups through his domain and firmly begins to establish his position as leader. Strangely, Makui keeps her distance from the new arrivals. A road-killed deer has been brought in by Dutcher, and he and Mike Jimenez will observe the early dynamics of pack hierarchy.
Boy, I'll say.
Though Akai is clearly dominant, he instinctively allows the pups to feed first. Their subordinate behavior shows acceptance of his authority. Each pup vies for a position on the carcass.
You're really seeing this pack dynamics develop.
These dominance battles help to create a system of order essential for a healthy pack.
This black wolf, I think that's the Omega. And yeah, and it's just amazing.
It's not acting like it, yeah.
No, isn't it something?
Yeah.
Perhaps disturbed by the many wolves, the adult female retreats further into the forest and will remain alone for many months to come. And in the lower meadows, those known as the Sawtooth Pack begin to learn the ways of the wolf in a place where someday their kind may roam free. To humans, it may look violent, but the ritualistic fighting that occurs among wolves is part of a complex social language. Teeth are bared as a threat intended to deter a subordinate. This behavior may have given rise to our negative image of wolves, an impression that has lasted for centuries. During Europe's Black Plague, wolves were said to exhume corpses from shallow graves. At a time when some cultures were celebrating the wolf, Europeans developed their own ideas. In 1697, Little Red Riding Hood was published in France, perhaps the most savage indictment of an animal in all of children's literature. The wolf devours the grandmother and then dons her nightgown to snare the young girl. Horrifying images, the stuff of nightmares, yet merely part of an intricate behavior by a member of a highly organized society. Who eats first is critical to the survival of the fittest, and therefore to the pack. And what at one moment may seem like a vicious beast can at the next appear as gentle as a child's toy. But the myths moved west. When Europeans came to America, they brought with them notions of a wicked, bloodthirsty demon, an evil presence that had to be destroyed. These convictions were so widely held that the U.S. government soon began to support them. The numbers are staggering. Between 1850 and 1900, an estimated 1.5 million wolves were killed. In 1907, After continued complaints from angry ranchers, the government called for the complete extermination of the species. Our vehement hatred continued through the 1960s. Poisoned, shot, and tortured, wolves were nearly annihilated in the lower 48 states. After millions of years as part of the natural order, they were pressed to the verge of extinction in less than 100. Today, gray wolves are listed as an endangered species. They now live in Canada, Alaska, and Minnesota, with perhaps only 90 wolves in 4 western states. But some wolves are coming back, moving south from Canada. Most attempts end in death. It is September. A cool breeze proves that the brief summer is gone. The pups in the enclosure have grown quickly and begin to take on their heavy coats. In the months ahead, winter in these mountains will be harsh. Ambassadors for their kind, the sawtooth pack is held in a microcosm of wilderness. And yet, they speak even now to that spirit world of nature. The pack is protected here, amid the forests. Perhaps it is we, humans, that live behind the fence. The snow will soon be 5 feet deep, and temperatures can drop to minus 30 degrees. Wolves are well adapted to cold weather, and their bonds to one another become even stronger as they depend on each other for food. The small town of Stanley, Idaho, sits at the edge of wilderness. From this base, Dutcher and crew resupply camp each week. Everything from food to film gear is transported in. Today, the cargo is an elk, accidentally killed on the highway. The undertaking requires a tireless sense of commitment. Month after month, through all kinds of weather, the pack must be cared for. By the time the project is complete, this trip will have been made by jeep, snowmobile, and foot more than 500 times. The 6 wolves of the Sawtooth Pack consume about 700 pounds of deer and elk meat a month. The pack is first locked off in a separate area so that the dead elk can be safely placed in the enclosure. The lone female keeps her distance. For months, McCooey has remained at the far end of the enclosure. Dutcher's plan is to let her eat first. For some unknown reason, she has chosen not to become part of the Sawtooth Pack. To these pups, she is a stranger.
Jim, the wolves are getting kind of upset down here. They're fighting a lot. Do you think I can let them go?
Hold on. I still want to feed McCooey.
Without Jim's help, McCooey would starve. The pack would not allow her to eat.
We weren't sure what was going on. McCooey hadn't made an effort to bond with the pups when they were small, but we didn't know why.
McCooey just took an elk leg.
Okay, I'll open the gate.
Wolves in the wild have an evolutionary responsibility. They and their prey have evolved together. It is the presence of the wolf, not its absence, that makes deer swift and strong. Dominance and hierarchy dictate who will eat first. A dark female named Mataki has taken the role of Omega, lowest in the pack. The others feast while she waits her turn. Wolves, like other highly intelligent mammals, spend time playing with each other and with objects. The Sawtooth Pack finds Karen and her gear irresistible. Howling is a signal to assemble the pack. But McCooey, so far removed, makes no effort to respond. Yellowstone National Park is one of the nation's most complete ecosystems, with every native species present except the wolf. More than 30,000 elk live here, but wolves have been completely eradicated. Now there is a movement to reintroduce them. But for ranchers with land nearby, the idea of wolves returning to Yellowstone is unsettling. Joe Helly makes his living on a ranch near the park.
If we were to have wolves in Yellowstone Park, there's no doubt that they would come up here on our range up here. I think everybody realizes that they would venture out into livestock areas such as these. But this isn't wilderness. The wolf wouldn't fit into this country. He was here maybe 80 years ago. He hasn't been here since. There's no room for the wolf in this area. The other concern that we have with the wolf coming into an area like this is that he carries the Protection of the Endangered Species Act with him if he comes here. And that's just not acceptable.
Wolves are now protected by law, whether on or off ranch lands, compelling some ranchers to shoot, shovel, and shut up. Public hearings about wolf reintroduction voice both sides of a heated issue.
We've gotten along fine without it. I think we ought to continue.
The sportsmen are not interested in exchanging any of our big game animals for a bunch of timber wolves. A good share of the hunters in southwestern Montana, at least, are going to shoot every timber wolf that they have the opportunity to do so.
Cows are a life-enhancing species, not a life-destroying species. I just want everyone to know what a valuable resource you're going to be throwing to the wolves. Also, my son has something to say.
I don't want any wolf to kill a person or animal, or I don't want wolves to live.
Thank you.
We Montanans who love wildlife don't want to see the hazardous waste species, the gray wolf, reintroduced.
You say reintroduce the wolf. He's here. He's been my neighbor, and I know he's there. But he won't come out. If he comes out, the cattleman or the farmer or the sheep herder will blow him away, because it's so important for the predatory animal called man to kill something, no matter what it is.
Wolves do kill livestock, but it is their reputation that precedes them. Hank Fisher is the Northern Rockies representative for the Defenders of Wildlife.
We don't have people in the West who have ever lived with wolves. And so all they've lived with is stories about wolves. And those things really die hard. And if you're a rancher, you look at it from the standpoint of, what's in it for me?
There is some evidence that both sides may be coming together. Defenders of Wildlife has established a fund to compensate ranchers for cattle loss to wolf predation. And there is a growing attitude among many, like Piero Piva, who take a broad-minded approach to the presence of wolves on their land.
I've done some thinking about how I feel about wolves, and I know that if I saw one and I had a rifle and was within shooting range, I'd probably just stand there and watch him. I'm sure that I wouldn't shoot one if it was an individual and he's not bothering me.
Today, wolves have become the symbol of a changing West, the focal point of attention in the ongoing debate over the best use of public lands. Perhaps the best place to reintroduce the wolf is in the minds of the young. The Wolf Ambassador Program was developed by National Wildlife Federation biologist Pat Tucker.
You're going to get to see what she looks like. But first,
she travels throughout the West with a hands-on approach that challenges children as well as adults to examine old myths and draw their own conclusions.
That's what a wolf pack is, okay? It's a family of wolves. It's a mother and a father, and then it's their kids. Some of the kids are older. Some of them have been born 1 year, and some of them have been born another year.
The high point of her talk is always the introduction of Kawani, a 2.5-year-old gray wolf.
Yeah, she's kind of tired because she's had a long trip. Yesterday she drove for a long ways, and she's a little nervous in cars, but you guys are being real good.
Raised from a puppy, Kawani was recruited because of her outgoing personality.
Oh, yep, good girl. See, that's one of the differences between a wolf and a dog. The dog is a pet. She's a wild animal. She's not a pet. Okay, one of the reasons that a wolf doesn't make a good pet is because you can never teach them to come when you call. You can't have them in the house. They have to have big special fencing. And another thing is wolves are kind of scared of things.
Always at opposite ends of the leash, Kawani and Pat Tucker have traveled thousands of miles together, stressing the wildness of wolves and their social similarities to the human family. The wolf played a major role in the lives of the Cheyenne, Sioux, and Pawnee. More than just a hunter, the wolf was revered as both a loyal member of its pack and a strong individual, two traits that earned it their highest respect. Individuals are in fact what make up the Sawtooth Pack. The Omega female, though subordinate to all, is the instigator of play. She seems to inspire in others the capacity to set aside hierarchy. But in all of the Native American stories, there are few about lone wolves. Makui has remained at a distance for too long, and Jim is determined to find out why. At first, she remained elusive. But after weeks of observation and care, it is Jim that she begins to trust.
I went out every day. She seemed desperate for friendship. I still wasn't sure what her problem was, but one day I noticed that she seemed to have some difficulty in seeing.
After a closer look, Jim observes that her eyes appear clouded. She seems nearly blind. A wound on her hip is proof that she has been bitten. These clues strongly suggest that impaired vision has caused her fear of the pack and has kept her from bonding with them. Now, as an outsider, she is attacked whenever she appears. In the wild, she would starve, and here, she will never be able to join the pack. But with surgery, her vision might at least be restored. As in all studies where humans and animals come together, moral questions are often raised. The burden of intervention is a heavy one. Is it best to do nothing? Or instead impose our modern medicine in the hopes of helping a kindred spirit? It is decided that Makui's surgery should take place. Dr. Grant Maurer, a veterinary ophthalmologist, has made the trip to camp, and along with Dr. Randy Aker, will perform the operation. Makui has been given a tranquilizer in her food. To reduce the amount of trauma she will endure, the crew avoids transporting her into town. The tent will serve as the operating room.
Not yet. See what we can do. Towel or something that we can rag. Yeah, we get some
More bite wounds are found under her coat. They are extensive and must be repaired first.
So we're coming up.
Dr. Maurer has never performed this surgery on a wolf before.
She gets that out of there, she's going to see a lot more.
Oh, great. Because it's completely blind.
The diagnosis? Cataracts.
So it's from the other eye that she's seeing.
Yeah, her left eye that she's seeing. I'm just hoping it'll open up for us.
He will first remove the damaged lens and then replace it with one that is synthetic. Hopefully, this procedure will completely restore her vision.
There we go.
It's all right, sweetie. That's right, Makui.
2 months later, Makui has recovered. She is placed in a separate enclosure, and though she can never return to the Sawtooth Pack, her days of lonely isolation are over. It is spring again, and Dutcher has begun to raise a new litter of pups. One of these will live with the gentle Makui, in the hope that it will ease her loneliness. In the enclosure, as a part of nature, many of her rules still apply. Tragedy would soon strike the Sawtooth Pack, and they will lose a vital member. Motaki, the Omega, the instigator of play, the one who waited quietly to eat. The pack will forever miss the spirit of her joy. One June morning, Karen and Jim find her dead. The way in which she died and claw marks on a tree suggest that a wild cougar scaled the fence. How it happened will never be clear, but the impact her death has on the pack is undeniable. Dutcher would write in his journal, July 30th, the pack still suffers Mataki's loss. There is no play today. They have not played in 6 weeks.
It's a little marshy here. Let me help you. That's good. All right. Here you go.
With filming nearly complete, Jim Dutcher and Karen McCall will turn their attentions toward a new venture.
This way.
They have founded the Wolf Education and Research Center. The nonprofit foundation will give students of all ages a chance to experience firsthand the power and majesty of wolves in a wild setting. Understanding the importance of a healthy ecosystem and the critical role played by this endangered species is the goal of the center.
He likes you. He wants to really.
Under the watchful eye of adults within the enclosure, early visitors meet the future members of the Sawtooth Pack.
I just love wolves.
And on both sides, the encounter will not soon be forgotten. What began as a study of wolf behavior has unlocked for Jim Dutcher more than he could imagine. As psychologist Conrad Lorenz wrote, the quickest way to learn the language of a species is to do so as a social partner. And with a new generation of the Sawtooth Pack come the bonds that begin again, and a spirit comes alive. These ambassadors to wildness live here in a way not unlike their relatives in the wild. In forests where they dance and play, and on meadows where parents teach their young. Although myths continue to outlive the wolf, many now understand its nature. Will we grant them space on the lands where they once roamed, and so give to ourselves the honor of their long-missed presence? Is the cry of the wolf still heard as a mournful farewell? Or instead, do they now announce their return?